We are back with Davidson County Sheriff Darren Hall. Good to have him on this morning. Taking phone call 737-7587 and Cynthia and others. We're going to get to you in a split second here. Just wanted to ask you at this point, is it your belief that these two, they're not necessarily fast friends that were locked up necessarily together. They were on work release together. They walked away, or not work release, work detail. And you don't think they're together and they probably split? Is this just based on MO or?
Yeah, I mean, again, I wouldn't consider myself an expert in escapes, but I am a little familiar with behavior of people who are in these situations, and yeah, they don't typically stick together. I mean, it doesn't make real good sense anyway. They typically weren't good buddies coming in. They were probably familiar with each other there, talked each other into going, and once they get out, hey, you've got a friend, hey, I do too. Whether it's a girlfriend or friend or a drug dealer or whatever, it's typically not smart, and I don't think that they stay together. They go separate directions, and again, you got to find a way to live and eat and move and go, and it's harder to take two than one, and I don't see that. I see it as and by the way, it's rare that two go together on a walk. Usually one walks away on a work detail just because he's mad at somebody or a girlfriend or whatever the deal is, and he takes off. This is a little unusual that two go.
Okay, and then with regard to them, okay, it's been about 48 hours now. Usually you get them pretty quick. This is a little longer. You're going to get them, but would you say that's a little bit longer? I mean, I bet you thought, oh, they walked away. We'll pick them up by the afternoon like you normally do. This one, the fact that it's been a little longer, not a long time, but I mean, you think the odds are they're getting help, and if they are getting help, the people helping them, is that a crime?
Yeah, so let me give you one more piece of information. This happened years ago. It was Bill Purcell was the mayor, Ron Surpass was the chief of police, so feels like a long time ago. But it's worth the folks knowing this as well. The law says, or the lawyers say, that if an escape occurs, our responsibility is to pursue that individual for as long as we have direct knowledge of where you are. For example, if you're running and I'm chasing you, that's fine. If you're in a car and we can follow you, that's fine, and that's our job. But once you lose custody, in the sense that they're no longer within your sight or that you're aware, then we cannot go knocking on doors and kicking in doors as a sheriff's office. That's the police responsibility. Yeah. That was a legal issue way back to get it cleared up, and part of that's because they have the resources. They have helicopters and all sorts of things. But so now that, and then it's our job to go take the warrants out, which means now there is a warrant. So if you get pulled over or if you whatever you may do, that warrant for escape is on you in whatever life you're living and what charges you may develop. So it's probably wrong to assume that the police have a team of people looking for them. What we do is we try to gather all the information and go to the police and say we believe we know where they are, and try to get them to go pick the person up as we go, and that will happen. I mean, I feel comfortable that they will be rearrested. Hopefully it's without a new charge, like trying to
caught robbing something.
Right. So my hope is that what happens is that we find them, get them back in custody for just the escape, and there's not a new charge added. But yeah, so we work on that end, and we continue to do that. We will have people call our agency and say, hey, I went to school with a guy, I saw him last night, he's the one you're looking for. So that will still happen. We will work with the police to get them picked up. We have our own investigations team of people who are working out in the field to help do all that right now. In my opinion is that they will be picked back up fairly soon. The only thing that gets a little different is if they have addresses outside of Nashville by the time they get moving and friends in Florida.
But if a girlfriend or a family member is harboring them.
Yes. Yeah, there is a crime if you know the individual's on escape. That's why the media and everyone puts out, and you are assisting them in that escape. It's criminal. You can be criminally held responsible for that. Your duty and responsibility is to notify authorities if there's an escape.
Well, would that be harboring a fugitive?
Right. That's the charge that would be used.
Okay.
I think it's harboring. But typically what happens is that's once they're picked up, the prosecution wants to prosecute them for escape, and they'll go and charge girlfriend or brother to reveal what really happened. And
it's kind of like, we're going to charge you if you don't testify against them on this. That's how that'll play out.
That's right. And sometimes even on recorded phone conversations in the jail, that conversation is had. You help me, where are you going to be? I'll pick you up at the red light, whatever, and that starts to.
That's amazing. They don't know they're recorded. I mean, it's like they forget it. It's crazy. Everything's recorded. All right, well, let's move on, take some phone calls, maybe about that issue, other things as well. We've got Ann. Ann, good morning. Hi, Ann.
Good morning. October 1st, I had a loved one that was involved in a very traumatic accident, and I missed out on the end of the Sheriff's Academy. My husband encouraged me to go to graduation, and what Sheriff Hall didn't know is that it was probably one of my lowest days ever, and I started not to go, and my husband insisted I needed the break. So he forced me to get dressed, and there I went. And he let me know, or the group know, right off the bat that the two of us had lost a really kind soul named Joe. And I started to leave, and my husband grabbed my hand and kept me in the room. Darren Hall kept me laughing through the rest of that evening. Over the course of the last 4 weeks, the support that has been shown to me and my family through emails and texts and through the people that I went through this class with has been tremendous. And it is all that has gotten me through the last 4 weeks. This call is extremely difficult for me to make, and I want to thank Sheriff Hall, DeShay Hearn, and to the participants of that class that have gotten me through the last 4 weeks.
Wow.
We lost Joe, and I know Nick Barris will miss him. I know Sheriff Hall will miss him. This is the beginning of my goodwill, my kindness tour. Let DeShay know I will be a more gentler soul when I call. I'm waiting to let Jim Shulman know this is my goodwill tour. I'll be kinder to him when I call in. Kindness comes in when we don't expect it. The angels that sat on my shoulders the last 4 weeks have been abounding. And I just wanted to say thank you to all the people that may be listening, because I now know that he shows Open Line, and they do listen. There are good things going on. 1,000 pounds of sweet potatoes are a lot of sweet potatoes going to Second Harvest. And I've seen the publicity more, and so I'll be kinder when I call in. But thank you, Sheriff Hall, for the employees that you do have working for you. This is a good thing you're doing, and I thank you from the bottom of my heart.
Wow.
Thank you, Ann.
I'm done. I mean,
Yeah,
that's
isn't that nice?
We had graduation, and I did tell the story that we had just heard that Joe had passed, and I told Ann and her colleagues there, you know, that I was on here last month, and Ann had called in after having participated in the class. And what the people need to know is Ann deserves the credit. She's the one who signed up to be a part of this program. She could have easily sat at home and not felt the need to learn more about whatever. And she voiced her, I thought, support for getting involved. She was selected. She was a participant, and then and she brought a T-shirt that was fantastic that talked about you guys and to the graduation, and just I'm so sorry for your loss. It makes my problems feel insignificant, and I need to be more like Ann. That's all I can say.
Yeah, and thank you. I'll just piggyback real quick that Ann was like Joe, she's a very decent person, and I don't know what she means by being more kind. I mean, she's always been good. Now, she has a strong opinion, she'll share it, but Dan, you don't change a thing.
Right.
You've always been someone we admire, and you're a good person like Joe, and so don't change. I mean, I never, she's not mean.
And Ann,
She's
stay involved
engaged.
with. We'll have alumni classes with our academy, and she's an ideal candidate for that, because she really does care about the community and understands. She goes out, and like I said, she initiates going and learning more about an agency, and you can't beat Ann to me, and I just hope she finds some peace with what she's dealing with.
Appreciate her call. You take care, Ann. Let's go next to Cynthia. Hi, Cynthia. Good morning.
Hey, good morning.
Good morning.
I'd like to know, how long is it before ex-convicts can vote again? And does Nashville have any kind of program here to help an ex-convict get his voting eligibility back? Thanks.
All right, Cynthia, so I'm not great at this, but I'll tell you, it depends on the charge.
Yep.
There's only a handful of charges that actually exclude you from ever voting again. I think voter fraud is one of them, I know. But the thing, first of all, I think that law is ridiculous. I mean, when you have served your time I don't care what it's for, including voter fraud. You've served your sentence. You should not be, to me, that shouldn't haunt you for the rest of your life.
For anything? I mean, and I tend to agree with you on that. If you've served your time for a violent felony and you get out and you've paid your debt to society, should you be allowed to buy a gun?
Yes.
Okay.
I don't
Yeah,
agree
and
with guns. I don't agree with guns on the front end. So
Okay,
I mean,
yeah. I'm just
my
saying,
point
but some
is,
people, if you're a convicted felon, you're not supposed to own a gun. Now, if you've been convicted, done your time, turned your life around, you're working a good job, and you want to own a gun for hunting or target practice or personal protection, you can't buy one if you're a convicted felon.
right, and I don't agree with that.
Okay.
And I don't agree with it because if we believe you're paying your debt to society and it's done, whatever it is, then I believe that's the
only exception to that rule is sex offenders.
Right.
In terms of being trounded because you have a registry. You've paid your debt, but because they don't think they can be rehabilitated,
Right.
they're on a registry and forever have that scarlet letter. But in other crimes, it can happen as well. But I'm sorry, go ahead. With regard to voting, I'm not an expert on that either.
I'm on Cynthia's side. I mean,
Yeah.
there are charges, and I know voter fraud is one of them, where you lose your right to ever vote.
Okay.
There are a lot of states that are moving to change this. You know, they're trying to change it. I completely agree with that. I mean, to me, it makes no sense why that person can't vote. There are people voting who don't need to be voting, quite frankly, and I'm just saying that as in, you should learn and study and care. I mean, if I had done a 10-year sentence and gotten out and started my life all over and have a job, and I'm done with parole and probation, I've done everything I'm supposed to do, I'm paying taxes. What do you mean I can't decide who,
Right.
after I've done everything? If I'm in jail or if I'm in prison, and or even on parole, if you want to say it that way, not finished completing my sentence, I can lean with you and say, okay, but to me, when you finish your sentence, you should be able to live life as expected, and voting is a critical part of that. And you know, and so, but I'm not real good on exactly when persons, she was using convict, but when a convict can then go vote. I know voter fraud is the one that forever excludes you right now. You know, and you can get your charges expunged and other things done down the road that changes your ability to vote. But a lot of states are moving aggressively to allowing ex-felons, meaning I've completed it, to then vote. I can live with people saying that people who are incarcerated shouldn't vote while there just because maybe that's part of your punishment. When it's done, I believe you're a citizen. That's what we're asking you to be.
That's the whole point. Here's your punishment, take it. You don't keep punishing someone afterwards. If it needs to be more punishment, extend the sentence. Once they've served their time,
I don't understand.
time to move on.
I don't really understand that. Unless what you did had a voting, you could argue that
maybe something like that.
Before you forfeited your, but that's, I don't know.
I got you. Well, listen, just with regard to an answer to your question, he and I don't know specifics. It can be done. It can be done, especially depending on the nature of the crime. Call the Election Commission. We can try to check on that as well. Go online and try to get an answer for you, or you can message me and I'll try to track it down. It can be done. It takes, you know, depending on the nature of crime, petitioning certain type of expungement or restoring some of the voting right. It can be done depending on that. So I'll check on that for you, but it's good that you're looking into it. We'll take a break. When we come back, Rob and others who are on hold, stay there. We'll get to your phone calls right after this for the sheriff. Stay with us.